Hello, it's Sunday, March 29. I'm in my living room in Boalsburg, Pennsylvania. I'm talking to the camera as part of my practice. What I noticed was that in my normal practice, which is in my spiritual groups, my church groups, reading, literature, and writing, I'm really in my comfort zone. But strangely, the camera is not my comfort zone. It's helpful for me to keep an eye on my ego because I can see my thoughts. I can see that my mind is not comfortable with the camera recording me like this. So it's helpful. Before my meetings, my spiritual group meetings or my church meetings, an hour before the meeting begins, I start to quiet down. I turn off the computer and the TV. I don't look at my telephone. I quiet my mind down. I start to relax and everything slows. So that when I get to the meeting, my head isn't buzzing with all my activities of the day, thinking about tomorrow and projects and things like this. So before I turned the camera on to record just now, I did that. I walked around this little loop in my house very, very slowly. I actually stopped right here before I even started to walk slow, because my mind was going so quick, thinking about what I was going to say to the camera. And I realized that's not going to work. Thinking ahead of time, planning what I'm going to say to the camera doesn't work. So I got that out of the way, and then I emptied my mind as best as I could and moved in the loop as slow as I could go, just paying attention to the sounds of the room and the feeling of the floor on my feet. I was thinking about you. I don't know where you are on the spectrum, where you are in your life. The spectrum meaning on the one side, far left side, unconscious and lost. And then the other side of the spectrum would be awake, found, lost, found, unconscious, awake. Everybody's on the spectrum somewhere. Since you're watching this video, I figure you're closer, you're over here somewhere, like I am. Not always awake, but I know where it is. Sometimes my friends and myself talk about the awake state as if the awake state is being in the presence of the source. That if you're awake to the presence of the source. And I use that word source because the word God and Allah, Yahweh, Buddha, all conjure up ideas with them. People form attachments to those words. But the source sounds more generic to me. The source being the origins of the universe, where the universe came from, perhaps, or our source when we were born into the world. Our life didn't really start when we were born, when the body was born. It started not when our grandparents came out of their parents, not when the first humans started walking on earth. Our birth probably occurred beginning of the universe. I like to do what's called a reset, or what's in industry, in electronics, called a hard reset. A hard reset in industry, and with fancy cameras, is when you push a button on the machine and all the software is erased. And what you're left with is the way the machine, only the software that came with the machine is in there. It was the original, how the machine was when it first arrived. You hadn't yet placed your own preferences into it, whether it was a camera, a computer, or a process controller, where you would program it. When you hit the hard reset, machine defaults back to the factory setting. So I like that. I like the idea of me doing a hard reset to myself, where I would default back to the way I was when my body came out of my mother, the way that I was when the source or the God brought me into the world. That was my true essence. So now, sitting in this chair, I like to do a hard reset. Now, it's a little tricky. I've been doing this for many, many years, so I know the techniques and the programs, but the camera's staring me and that red light is on. It's a little bit of a distraction. But Steve told me to pretend that the camera's not there. Just see right through it. Or just wait a while, he said. And eventually the mind's attachment to the camera or the fact you're being photographed will dissipate and go away. Okay, well, it's best that I show you how to do a reset. Explaining it is sort of unsatisfying. And the place that we try to get to with the reset is beyond concepts and words anyways. So it's descriptions and processes and programs about this are not as helpful. So let's just do it. Maybe you can just follow what I'm going to try to speak my thoughts. As a thought comes up, I'm going to speak it without reviewing it firsthand. And we'll see where we can go. Maybe you can follow along and see where it takes you. Big breath. The weight of the arms pressing down on the chair. Sound of breath. humming in my ears. I can feel life, the life moving through my body. It's tingling. Maybe it's blood flowing. I don't know what it is. It's a tingling in my fingers, my hands. Thoughts are slowing. Thoughts are quiet, distant. Breath. The air moving past my lips. The room. The contents of the room. The sky. Close my eyes for a moment. Expanding lungs. Breathing deeply. Full breaths. At the bottom of the breath, I pause. Relaxed breathing. The bottom of the exhale. Slight pause before inhaling. I want you to remember these two words before the next step. Let go. I want you to do that. I'm going to do that. Let go. It's going to happen at the bottom of the exhale. At the pause before the inhale. I'm going to do it while speaking. Let's do that again. Okay. That time the body disappeared. I disappeared. Okay. We'll do that again. The sound the hands making on the wood. Air coming out of my mouth. Children playing outside. Deep breath. Let the lungs fall into the exhale. And at the bottom of the falling exhale, pause a little bit. Just a moment before you inhale. Let go at the same time. I can hear my breath coming out of my mouth. I'm going to continue doing that exercise. Okay. Did you feel that? Did you feel some peace? I did. The mind stopped. Well, just a little bit. Just aware. Mind stopped. Awareness. The body sort of felt like it disappeared. It wasn't a body. Okay, well, we'll try that again on another day. That was my first time trying that with the camera. I hope you got something out of that. I'm going to turn the recording off.